Welcome to the Explainer. This is ACIM Lesson 116, Review Lessons 101 to 102. If you've been sticking with the daily work, you know these review lessons are absolutely crucial for cementing these big concepts into our everyday lives. Today, we're going to break down exactly what the text is telling us, translate it into super practical terms, and outline your practice for the day. So let's jump right in. All right, so here are the two review lessons we're anchoring our minds to today. Lesson 101 is God's will for me is perfect happiness. And lesson 102 is I share God's will for happiness for me. Just take a second and really absorb those statements. They're simple, right? But they carry so much weight. The first one establishes a fact about the universe, and the second is basically your personal acceptance of that fact. Our whole explainer today revolves around deeply understanding these two mantras and really locking them into your mindset. Okay, let's dive into this by clarifying some of the terminology. The morning and evening review text says, God's will is perfect happiness for me. Now, depending on your background, that phrase, God's will, can sometimes sound a bit heavy or dictatorial, like a rigid set of rules. But we really need to translate this so we can all universally grasp what's going on here. The source material is actually describing a default, intended state of being. Think of it like the universe's baseline frequency for you. Just like the natural flow of a river is to move downstream, the natural flow of your existence is meant to be pure joy. It's not something you have to earn, it's literally the fundamental reality of your creation. Happiness is the default setting. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how it explains where our pain actually comes from. The text says, "And I can suffer but from the belief there is another will apart from his." Okay, so if perfect happiness is our default state, why do we feel stressed or anxious or just plain miserable sometimes? Well, the source material gives us a super direct answer here. Suffering is simply a symptom of a belief, specifically the belief in separation. When we think we have a will that's totally separate from this universal flow of joy, when we feel like we need to fight against the current or that the universe somehow wants us to struggle, we experience friction. And that friction, that's suffering. You only suffer when you buy into the illusion that you're disconnected from that ultimate source of happiness. And this brilliantly illustrates how we resolve that friction, right? Let's look at the review text for lesson 102. It says, I share my Father's will for me, his Son. What he has given me is all I want. What he has given me is all there is. Once you grasp that the universal intention for you is pure joy, aligning yourself with it just brings immense peace. You're basically saying, hey, if perfect happiness is what's intended for me, then I choose to share that intention. I don't want anything else. It simplifies everything. Because ultimately, isn't happiness the real goal behind every other goal we set? When you recognize that this joy is literally all there truly is in reality, the need to struggle just kind of drops away.
So having a conceptual understanding of perfect happiness is wonderful, but as we know with the source material, the real transformation happens when we apply it. We're actively retraining the mind to reject that illusion of separation. So we're transitioning now from the theory into the practical, everyday action phase. How do we actually do this today? The text gives us a very specific, structured routine to follow, and it's definitely going to require your focused commitment.
Let's move to and see how this builds across your day. Your practice is broken down into 4 distinct touch points. You're going to bookend your day with a deep morning review as soon as you wake up and an evening review right before you go to sleep. But the real work happens in the middle. The text instructs us to engage with these ideas on the hour and on the half hour. This creates a sort of rhythmic net of mindfulness throughout your entire waking day. You're essentially setting up a system where you are never more than 30 minutes away from reminding yourself of your true baseline of happiness. So here is exactly how you alternate the mantras during the day. It's incredibly straightforward, which honestly is what makes it so powerful. At the top of every hour, say 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., you'll pause and state Lesson 101, God's will for me is perfect happiness. Then, at the bottom of the hour, 9:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 11:30 a.m., you pause and state Lesson 102, I share God's will for happiness for me. By alternating these two phrases, you first declare the universal truth, and then 30 minutes later, you declare your personal acceptance of that truth. To quickly summarize the structure of your commitment today, Step 1, spend dedicated time in the morning and evening, deeply reviewing the full text we discussed. Really internalize that you only suffer when you believe you're separate from joy. Step 2, recite 101 every single hour. Step 3, recite 102 every single half hour. Just think about how many times you're going to do this. If you're awake for 16 hours, that's 32 distinct interruptions of your normal everyday thought patterns. 32 times today, you will stop the ego in its tracks and consciously choose to align with joy. It's a rigorous schedule for sure, but it is exactly this kind of persistent repetition that completely reshapes our perception. So the crucial point is that everything we've discussed today distills down to these two beautiful, liberating sentences. Let's lock them into your mind before you tackle your day. 101, God's will for me is perfect happiness. 102, I share God's will for happiness for me. Memorize them. Write them on a sticky note. Set those alarms on your phone to remind you on the hour and the half hour. These are your essential tools for today to return to your natural state. I want to leave you with a final thought to carry into your first practice session. When that alarm goes off in 30 minutes, you have a real decision to make. Will you choose to align with perfect happiness today, acknowledging it as your rightful default state? Or will you allow the stresses of the day to pull you right back into the illusion of separation and the suffering that comes with it? The choice is entirely yours, every 30 minutes, all day long. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack Lesson 116. I truly hope this breakdown empowers you to have an incredibly mindful, joyous day. If you found this explainer helpful in clarifying the source material, please take a quick second to like and subscribe. It really helps us out, and it ensures you won't miss our upcoming daily explainers as we continue journeying through these fascinating concepts together. Keep up the great work with your practice, and I'll catch you next time.